Okay, welcome everybody. To another installment of the Vanguard Employer Education Series. If you're joining us from the first time, thank you and welcome. Some of you have been here before. Just want to do a quick update from last week's event. Some of you know that we spoke regarding the recent executive order. We had Ed McWilliams from Cerini and Associates. Bear with me, I'm letting somebody else in. There has been actually some updates since then. So on Friday evening, the IRS did issue guidance, and I won't go into that in great detail. I just will let you know a couple of bullet points. And we did receive some guidance from Cerini and Associates. I think it was yesterday. So we'll try and put that in a format and get that out to you. But the action, the key takeaways from it is the action is a deferral of tax obligation. It's not an elimination. It allows for employers to defer this and employees to defer this through the rest of 2020. But it's important to note that there is a repayment schedule of these taxes that will take effect in January through December of 2021. And while it is an optional, it's a choice for the employer to do this or not. There's no guidance that the employees have a choice. So if the employer decides that they do want to do this, there is no guidance that says the employees can stay away from that deferral of taxes. So that's the key takeaways from it. Wanted to let you know that there was some guidance from last week's event. We will send out more information on that during the week. Also wanted to let you know about a couple of our upcoming events. On September 16th, we will be doing an update and the future of the health insurance industry. We will be having Vince Ashton, CEO of HealthPass, and a partner of ours for the past 20 years, will be our special guest, and we will be doing a panel discussion discussing everything from where the health insurance market is right now, what impact COVID-19 has had on that and the future of health insurance rates, and really what employers should be thinking about in order to plan for the future on this. So more to come on that. And on September 30th, in advance of the open enrollment of Medicare, we will be doing a Medicare 101 with one of our partners. We will be discussing all the basics of Medicare and and give you the information you know in advance of the October 15th open enrollment. So more to come on that. That's on September 30th. As always, we're recording this event. We'll send out the recording after the event so everybody has it. If there are any, our October event actually we just planned as well. So October 16th, we will be doing, we will have our partner from Northwell Health, and they will be discussing wellness strategies for employers and the impact of wellness now more than ever since COVID-19. So stay tuned for that. If there's any topics that you want to learn about, please put it in the chat. We're going to be sending out a survey soon asking all of our past participants what they want to hear about in the future. We're trying to make these events more diverse and cover a wide array of topics and get really quality speakers, as I know we've done today. So with that in mind, I just want to do a brief introduction to Michael Goldberg. Michael Goldberg has been a friend and a partner of Vanguard Insurance Agency for several years now, and just a great guy. But professionally, Michael's helped thousands of financial advisors, brokers, agents, wholesalers, and other sales producers grow their business using networking approaches and techniques. Michael's firm, Knockout Networking, has been a speaking and training resource in the financial service industry for over 20 years. Michael has spoken at the $1 Million Roundtable, is a two-time TEDx speaker and an award-winning adjunct professor at Rutgers University, and frequently volunteers his time as a speaker at organizations focused on career search. His new book, Knockout Networking for Financial Advisors and Other Sales Producers, is available right now. And Mike, I'm sure you'll tell us how we can get that, but I'm assuming it's on Amazon amongst many other formats. So with that, I'll turn it over to Michael. Michael's spoken for us at the Bayside Business Association and various times. He does an incredible job. Tommy's holding up the book right now, so you'll get to see it. But with that, I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to Michael. We're going to have a lot of fun today. So Michael, take it away.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. There it is. There it is. Oh, in case you are wondering, I really am a boxer. I have competed. I still do it. In fact, I was supposed to have fights this year. I was gearing up, but March 12th, March 13th, not only did my speaking calendar go away, but my fighting calendar went away as well. But I knew two things had to continue happening. I knew connections had to keep happening in the ring. I had to keep training. So when things came back, come back to where they're supposed to be, and they will, that I'm in fighting shape, but also connections on the business front have to happen too. Like I couldn't stop that because, you got to still bring the business in, make a living, the whole thing. And as business owners, you can relate to that. Boxing, like networking, is about the connection. And I believe no matter what happens, whether it's change in business model, change in climate, a COVID, a pandemic, whatever it is that as long as you're always focused on making more and better connections, but they're relevant to what it is that you're supposed to be doing in terms of your business, you're going to be successful. Boxing, like networking, is about the connection. So that's me. This is real. I really do this. I've been doing this for a long time. As Ed had said, I'm niche in the financial services industry. So those are a bunch of my clients. And I have to tell you, and I don't say this, I know it's going to come across like I'm a total hump. I mean, I'm just like an arrogant New Yorker, I guess. But I've got two businesses right now. One is a networking group that's going really well, and Tommy D is a big part of that. So what fun, like our whole morning was leading these meetings. And then the full-time gig, which I've been at for 20 years, Knockout Networking, a lot of my counterparts that are in the speaking, training, coaching world are really hurting right now. Like I get that because they haven't been able to figure out, well, things have changed. How can I ebb and flow with this? And what do my connections look like? Or what should my connections look like? And to this day, they're struggling. I know because I hear it. Like, how do I, where do I? I think I've figured it out. Like March 12th, I was in this place of what the heck am I going to do? Oh my gosh. March 13th, I had some answers. Right. And that next week I was booking clients again. And I mean, my financial clients that I'm still working with. And I have to tell you, it's going well. So it's really just a question of mindset and the connection. I know I'm rambling. I'm just setting the stage for all this stuff. So here's kind of the rules for today. So, I'm going to talk fast, think fast, react fast. I put a lot of stuff on slides intentionally. So there's not going to be a lot of slides, but there is going to be lots of bullet points. So take notes. If you need me to slow down, if you got a question, we'll create some time to do that. But so like in the ring, right? Third man in the ring. So have water on hand, eliminate any distractions or minimize them. Texting, tweeting, twitting, the whole thing. I see you. You're multitasking. I see you. Stop doing that. Stay with me here. Stay in the ring. Take notes. Hit mute and turn off your mic, although I think Ed might have handled that with some. Ask questions. It's not about me. It's about you. Stay engaged with the intention of at least implementing, learning one new idea or being reminded of an idea that you said, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to do that. Because if you're not here to think about how you can do more better and make more and better connections, like in terms of implementing, rather than, okay, I got it. What are we talking about here? So we're going to touch some gloves, ding, 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 come out networking. Here we go. During this sparring session, we are going to cover three components, three chunks. They're not going to be a third, and a third necessarily, right? I don't even know how that's going to, sort of articulate. I'm going to cover some of my favorite knockout networking ideas. These are a lot of the same ideas I've been covering for 20 years, although they have evolved with technology and everything else. But I'm going to get into some virtual best practices, so how that might apply to Zoom, LinkedIn, and the whole thing, which should be relevant now. And then knockout goal setting, because I'm all about, so now what? So we learned, or at least have been reminded, what do we get now? What are you going to do about it? Like, what's the point of knowing how to throw a perfect jab if you're never going to throw it, right? If you're never going to set up what you need, right? So so we're going to get into goal setting and what that might look like. So here's what I've learned in the last 6 months. Some stuff I usually don't learn a lot because I've got a lot of scar tissue here. But to reflect now over the last 6, 7 months, these are some things that I have garnered that may or may not be relevant here. Networking is still a thing. I have people to this day tell me that networking is not a thing. It's kind of dead because we can't go to meetings and shake hands, kiss babies, and the whole thing, right? Well, if that's your mindset, guess what? You're right. That's like going into a fight thinking, I'm going to get my ass kicked. That's kind of like what that is, right? So as soon as you think that, you're right. It is still a thing. I am living proof. People are still hurting. Be cognizant of that there are people still hurting because up here they don't believe, or they're legitimately hurting, because of financials, because in some cases, their business has gone away. Like the commercial real estate marketplace is hurting right now. Like that's legit. I see that. There's also people that are hurting from a health and wellness standpoint. So firsthand, I saw what that looked like with COVID. My wife's uncle, her dad's twin brother, one of the first cited cases in New York City for COVID. He was in a hospital from March 11th on before they even knew what COVID was. He just got home like a month ago, 3.5 weeks ago. He got home from rehab, 145 pounds and limping, and he'll never be the same again. People are still hurting. Politics aside, it just is. Some people do see this as an opportunity. I know I do. More activity on social media. The social media is busier than ever, and specifically LinkedIn. And LinkedIn equates to business opportunity. I think time is viewed differently. Like our time, like this is my third Zoom presentation that I'm doing today. Like we started at like 8:30. So maybe your meetings are like that as well, but there's probably more meetings for less time. Would you agree? Like it seems like we're trying to fit in more because we can when you're not getting in the car and traveling. So it's not clicking into a different Zoom room. Oh, where's my link? So there's just more of that. It's like a different type of busy now. So I try to be very sensitive of people's time. I don't book any more than a 20 or 30-minute meeting. I'm really sensitive, not just to their time, but to my time. For whatever reason, and there's lots of them, the sands are going through the hourglass much differently. Being courteous goes a long way. By being courteous, like I'm always looking to make this whole online thing easier for somebody. So if I'm setting up a meeting with Ed, I'm going to probably handle the Zoom link. Listen, I got it. I'll set up the invite Zoom link. If Ed's on the West Coast, I'm going to communicate in terms of Pacific time. Like I'm going to try to make, it's the little things. I'm going to try to make life easier for him because I want him to think, oh, that's really cool. Like if I make it easier for my meetings and the people in my meetings, I'm going to make a connection. I'm going to make a better connection. That's what this whole thing's about, is sneaking that jab in there and making more and better connections. Follow-up is more important than ever. One of my clients reminds me it's all about the FU. She's right. It's all about the follow. I was going to put FU there. I just thought it would be obnoxious. Right? Systems are more important than ever. I'm a systems guy. Like every day, I know what my day looks like. I know from 9 to 9:30 like I'm very systemic. And because time works differently right now, that's so important. Professionalism is much more intentional. I think that as we're reaching out to people, we have to be that much more purposeful, professional, and sensitive to people. The managing money is more important than ever. Not just our money, but other people, right? It's still, I mean, I work in the financial services industry. It's always financial advisors. I hear their stories. People are much more focused on the ticker than they ever were. There's no question about it. So a fighter's mindset, one of my favorite things to talk about. I can go on for 45 minutes on just this. Fighting is 90% mental half the time. Very Yogi Berra-ish, I know, but that's from Tim Sylvia, former UFC heavyweight champ. Is that a fighter's mindset is what you have in mind. It's going into that fight. I mean, athletes are known for this. They're going to go into that fight. They already know, I'm going to win this thing. Ed played baseball. He had to know getting up to the plate that he's going to hit that ball hard. He's going to go down and hard. He knows that. So even if it's not a sports thing, we all know we're all fighting something, right? We're all fighting what's on our head. We're all fighting family challenges and successes, business, the whole thing. We're all fighting the timeline, right? So it's really a question of mindset. Here's a networking mindset. I don't have to flip the switch. Like, this is who I am. I know Tommy D. This is who Tommy D is. This is just great networkers just think this way. It's already wired in them. And today it's health and safety. When I'm getting a meeting with somebody and I don't know them and I'm just connecting with them, usually the first thing I ask them is if they're okay. Are you okay? Is everybody good? And I really mean it, because people, I mean, I hear this every day. So that's how I lead. That's my jab. That's what I lead with. How are you doing? Is everything okay? Business, family, you good? Because if there's something going on, that's our conversation. That's our conversation. It's just the right thing to do. And that's how I'm wired. Like, that to me is the most important thing right now. I am always interested in other people way more than myself. I'm always, unless they prove me wrong and I realize maybe it's not a great connection or not a good fit, which happens, I'm always about the other person way more than myself. The more I give, I find the more I'm going to potentially get. I'm always in this place of learning and offering help, asking questions, listening, providing information, resources, making introductions, and making sure that my conversations are collaborative and a we thing. If it seems as obvious as a ham sandwich, great. It means you're probably already thinking, wired, behaving this way, because mindset equates to skill set. Like the stuff we think about ends up becoming the stuff we end up doing and implementing. And that's really where I want to go with all these different things. All right, deep breath time. Am I on the right track so far? If so, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down and I'll totally come up with a different slide deck and we'll do something totally, we'll talk about tax shelter options or something. All right, I get an animated thumbs up. Okay, here we go. Content. 6 reasons, only 6 reasons why we network. There's only 6. There's not 4, there's not 7, there's 6. I decided this like now, right now, there's only 6. More business, more prospects, more referrals, more business. That's probably why most of you, if not all of you are here, is compelling ways to get more and better business. So again, obvious as a ham sandwichville. That's not important. What is important is what type of business are you, this is really important. I'm going to drill down on this throughout the whole presentation. It's important as to what type of business you're looking for. So Joel, a CPA, what type of business is he looking for, right? I mean, that's important. What industry, profession, market segment, niche, dynamic, demographic, geography you focus on? Because if you know that, you'll know, and here it is, Joel, where you need to go, what you need to say, and with whom you need to say it. 1, 2, 3 punch in networking. That's the right. So where to go, what to say, with whom? Industry, profession. So my target market is the insurance and financial services industry. 99% of my work is with the UBSs, the Morgan Stanleys, the Merrill Lynches, the Hancocks, not an accident. Those are the folks I want. I want those companies as clients. It doesn't just happen. Made that happen in terms of where to go, what to say, with whom. I actually have a target list of companies that I want to be my client. And you know, over some coming months, that almost always happens. I wonder why. Where to go, what to say, with whom. More business. So think about the type of business that you are looking for. If you're in a place of anybody, everybody, somebody, that's fine. It's not wrong. It just makes networking that much more difficult. And it often feels like you're looking to connect with nobody, or that you do connect with nobody. Right? Anyone with a checkbook, anyone that needs accounting services, anybody that's within nonprofit. But as soon as we hear words like that, people just tune out. And from a marketing standpoint, it's really difficult to market to everyone, unless you're Microsoft, unless you're Facebook, then it's a different deal. Feeling me? All right, focus. Job. Second reason why we network. So probably not relevant here, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. 76% of job searchers, according to Lee Hecht Harrison, those that have been upsize, downsize, right size, left size, super size, are networking to get interviews and ultimately land jobs. Even today, I watch people land jobs today. I coach job searchers for nothing, for free. I won't take money from them as long as they do what we're discussing and where to go, what to say, with whom. And you know, they land interviews and jobs. Funny, huh? But it's COVID. Nobody's hiring. Really? If that's the mindset, then you're probably right. Social life, social reasons. Move to a new town. I want to meet other people that play golf, that bowl, that play baseball, that box, that knit, whatever it is. Facebook stuff, right? So if you're looking to make friends, or the dating scene, right? Like, I wish I knew some of this stuff when I was single. I'd tell way better stories. I mean, there's no question about it. I'd probably be in a different business. I'd be in a social network. It'd be something different. That's like Lifetime too, right? But in order to meet the love of your life, it's the same 1, 2, 3 punch. If I know who I'm looking to meet from a social standpoint, where do I need to go? What do I need to say? With whom do I need to say it? The where, the what, the whom. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Learn something. What are you looking to learn? Learning about a product, learning about a service, learning about an industry, profession, market segment, niche, dynamic, demographic, geography. If you know with what you're looking to learn, where do you need to go, Al? What do you need to say, and with whom, right? You're going to put together a plan in terms of going to the right places, say the right things, meeting the right people. Pay it forward. 5th reason why we network. People don't think about this enough. Pay it forward is helping a brother out, helping a sister out. That's just giving without expecting anything in return. I know it sounds cliche. I know it's on bumper stickers, the whole thing. It does not happen enough when it comes to networking, right? So paying it forward, helping somebody. Here's an example. I spoke at a conference a couple of years ago, and there was 14,000 people at this conference. 14,000, biggest conference I've ever been a part of. I was, to my knowledge, the only paid speaker that was there. Everybody else, and it wasn't even in financial services, it was in supply chain management of all places. It was a big produce conference, supply chain management. Not my target market, but they came to me. They wanted to learn about networking. So I did this whole talk, but all the other speakers were supply chain management experts that were either retired or semi-retired. And they flew to New Orleans on their own time, on their own dime, to help a brother out, help a sister out, to contribute to those that are younger, newer. I was amazed by that. That's a pay it forward mentality. That's fundraising. That's helping job searchers. And then the sixth is solve a very specific problem. Solve a very specific problem. So I'm gonna get a little personal now. So my dad just got out of the hospital yesterday. He's on Long Island. So I grew up on Long Island. I'm Jersey Shore now. I'm kind of here against my will. Another story, another day. But my dad's 82, he'll be 83 in a couple of weeks. I lost my mom 4 years ago. He has not been the same. He's in and out of hospitals constantly. He's very cantankerous, difficult to deal with. Here I'm in front of people all the time, and I can't get my dad out of his way because in his mind, it's over. He just wants my mom back. That's all he wants. I'm sharing this story because I believe that networking can solve almost every problem except for health-related, perhaps, although it can help. But I live and breathe this stuff. I'm in front of people all the time trying to help my dad and trying to get an answer to see what I can do to make his life better. So networking is not a switch that you necessarily flip when you're looking for business or to socialize, whatever it is. To me, it's a life skill. Like, I'm always thinking this way. Right? My peripherals are wide. My switch is always on because I am more likely to capture an opportunity to help somebody else or help myself if I'm thinking this way. And here's the other side of that coin, and I'm going to take a breath, is that the people that we meet, whether it's online or off, are looking for one of, if not a combination of these 6 things. Would you agree? Thumbs up? They are. If we are in the business, Eileen, of helping people get to what it is that they're looking for in any of these categories, they're going to help us right back, and that's networking. What do you think about that? Am I still on the right track?
Yes, sir.
Am I off in France somewhere, which could be? All right, here it is. Definition of networking. Here it is. The verb, like to network, right? So we can get granular about this. It is a proactive approach to meeting quality people or meeting people with the prospect of learning, helping, learning, helping. Now, it's also reactive. You know, I could run into Joel, like online at the bank, right? Which can happen now, right? Almost that couldn't happen, right? So it could be reactive, but the reason I don't put it in there is because networking today is much more proactive than it ever has been. It just is. So there is a reactive, you bump into somebody, but we're going to less conferences, right? We're going to less, gatherings and meetings like that. Again, all that'll change, but it's still proactive. Right? And that you've got to think about that approach to meeting people with the prospect. So here it is, learning, helping, learning, helping, learning, helping. I like a second helping, learning, helping. That's freaking networking, learning, helping. That's it. If nothing else, I want you to walk away with learning, helping, because that's the mindset that cultivates everything else. Like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be selling them health insurance. Wait a minute, I shouldn't be selling them accounting services, right? But if I'm learning, helping, going to the right place, saying the right thing, meeting the right people, right? It's going to happen. It just is. Now, kind of a footnote here, there's really 2 components that have to be in place for any effective networking to happen. And the more focused these 2 components are, the more better we're going to be at networking. You've got to have a very focused communication strategy. I'm going to talk about that in detail. Right? We're going to talk about the questions that you ask, how we talk about ourselves in the form of elevator speeches and those types of applications, and the follow-up, all about the FU. Those are all communication strategies, right? And then you got to have like a targeted network, like winning, like you have to have a targeted network. But the more focused and targeted your network is, and the more laser focused your communication strategy is, the more likely you're going to generate referral-based business off of that. So if my communication strategy is aimed at financial services stuff, and I happen to collaborate with people that do financial services stuff, what kind of work do you think is going to come out there of that? Right? I know it's simple, but most don't look at it this way. Now, online, I think it's got to be more intentional to be about my communications on point and my market is on point. So before I start throwing up charts and graphs, literally, what questions do you have? Comments, emotional. I'm going to open it up. I want to create some space here. Don't make it an awkward silence. Weigh in with a question or comment. And if there isn't one, just give me a thumbs up and I'll move on. Joel, you good?
I'm good.
All right. All right. And very handsome, by the way. You're very handsome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Here we go. Ready? All right. So we said learning, helping, but here it is. And I'm an arrogant New Yorker, so I'll just put it out there. I'm here to tell you that we can't learn from or help everybody that we meet. Would you agree? It's cynical. I know. It's cynical. But think about it. If I'm speaking with Joel and we don't have a good connection, am I really learning a lot from him? I mean,
No.
probably not a lot, right? I'm learning about ways to escape from Joel. Like I'm learning, right? I learned I'm not going to talk to that guy again. Like that's what I learned. Right? So I'm not learning unless I'm open and okay, you know. But we don't do a good job of that. So not to sound too cynical, like there's nothing to learn. Of course there is, but we're not learning very much. And am I going to be compelled to help Joel? Probably not. If there's
No.
right, and he's not going to be looking to help me either. So I say that. Let's get the chart. And so here's the sweet science of networking. Right? So this is the art. Here's the sweet. You see what I did there? Here's the sweet science. So now, I believe in my 20 years of doing this that if you're a good networker and you're face to face, nose to nose, belly to belly, and that's turned into screen to screen, then I feel like we only truly connect with people about a third of the time. That's a very ugly graphic right there, but it's a third of the time, which means that at an event, and I think the online thing affects us a little bit, and I think in some ways positively because people are kind of on, you know, but then they're I think quicker to kind of discount and sort of go away. But for the most part, it's if we meet 10 people, that we probably only truly connect with about 3 of those 10 people. If you meet 3 people at a meeting, you probably only really connect with 1, maybe 2 of those people. I refer to that as the 1/3 dynamic. The 1/3 dynamic is like, you had me at hello. I met Tommy D, had me at hello. I mean, to this day, there's never enough time to talk to this guy. Right? We have 1 hour. And it's not because he doesn't shut up, which he doesn't, but I don't either, right? But it's because there's so much there. And there's just such a great back and forth and synergy. That's the 1/3 dynamic. Like our sales meetings from 4 to 5, there's just not enough time. It's just not, right? And every meeting's like that with 1/3ers. You know, you just feel like, and that's my measure. That's the 1/3 dynamic. Ever just meet somebody for the first time and they had you at hello, online or off? That's the 1/3 dynamic. Have you ever met somebody and it's not like you're hating on them. It's not like bad, but there's just not a lot of there, or it feels very forced. I refer to that, and I have a slide for it. I refer to that as the 2/3 dynamic. 2/3 dynamic, where it's fine, but there's just not a lot there. Not to say you couldn't get to 1/3, but it would probably be a lot of work if it's ever going to happen at all. Here's my punchline. Ready? Just focus on the 1/3ers. Focus on the 1/3ers. Focus on the 1/3 population that we have the best connections with, because you're going to have the most likelihood to be able to create this whole we dynamic and exchange referrals and the whole thing. That's where the fun is. Just focus on the 1/3ers. So what I'm saying is, and I never realized years ago what a big point this was. Now there's a whole chapter in a book devoted to it. But I guess what I'm saying is it's okay to not connect with everybody. Like it's okay, because nobody's going to connect with everybody. It just doesn't happen. And that's okay. Because if I show up as a 1/3 to somebody, they probably show up as a 1/3 to me as well. Like, because we hit it off. But if that person shows up, you know, as a 2/3er, I feel pretty good knowing that they probably hate me too. It's just, right? I mean, hate, right? But there's just not a connection, right? So I just want to put that into perspective. Is the punchline is just simply focus on the 1/3ers. There are 1/3er prospects. There's 1/3er clients. I'm a professor at Rutgers. There's 1/3er and 2/3er students. Here's the reality, and you know this. There's also 1/3er and 2/3er family members. Am I right? Hopefully not in your immediate family. You know, but there just are. Like I gotta meet Uncle Louie again. I mean, right? So it's that sort of thing, right? But it's a real thing. All right. Here are some rules. Rules of the road. I have 23 rules that are in a book. I'm not going to go over 23, but I'm going to gloss over some of these. And then I'm going to get into actual how-to and tactics. And then we'll get into some of the online stuff. Is rules of networking. Share personal stories. Not too personal, but everybody's got a story, especially now, right? So I love telling. That's usually how I start a conversation with people that I'm just meeting. I'll say, "Very nice to meet you. May I share a quick story?" And they always say yes. but I make it a quick story. So it could be how my kid is going back to school and just, and now it's 2 half days a week, every other Friday, that sort of thing. What's it like in your town, right? So that's now a quick little story, and I can go on with that for a few seconds and then turn it back to the other person. How about you? What's going on in your, right? Aren't you now potentially making a connection there over something that's timely and relevant? Right? Or, I was presenting for 5 minutes before I realized that the mute button was pushed. Right? Has it ever happened to you? Right? There's always a story. There's always something. So stories are really the snapshot of our lives and the snapshot of making a connection. But it's got to be relevant. It's got to be short, sweet, to the point. It can't be like a going on and on and on sort of thing. So I like to keep it in a certain model. I usually teach in public speaking, make your point, tell your story, and apply it to the conversation or apply it to the other person. So point, story, application. Aren't these tough times, especially at school? Point. My kid, story, application. Can you relate to this? What's going on in your town? What a great way to tell a story, right? It's now succinct. It's about the other person. It's very we, right? And that other person will follow that mode. Share current and current professional stories as well. So something that's going on in your world that's relevant, and then turn it back to the other person. Similar format. Discuss solutions and ideas, not products and services. It's a collaborative. It's a we thing, not a me thing. One of my favorite things to say. It's a we thing, not a me thing. If it's a me as in you thing, it's probably not going to resonate. It's probably not going to connect. It's not very one-thirder-ish. They focus on the conversation, no multitasking, even online. Have a goal, a plan, next steps, take initiative. It's all about the FU. Like, what are you going to do about it? I'm going to get into now what great questions look like. And all these questions should have the flavor of I'm interested in learning, potentially helping. I'm going to talk about target marketing. I'm going to talk about elevator speech stuff. Here we go. I'm going to gloss over this, but if you've got questions moving forward, reach out to me. I love talking about this stuff. These are some of my favorite questions to ask people when I meet them for the first time. Sometimes even the second time if I don't remember. So share a story. I know it's not a question, right? But I'll say, may I share a story, right? Of course, what type of work do you do? What company? How long have you been there? How do you market your business? One of my favorite questions, learning, helping. Like, Ed, what are you doing this year to market your business? What's working? What do you wish would be working better? What are you looking to do going into Q4? That might reflect some of that change where you think you might, realize some success. Like, it's a great conversation, right? And so all these questions you would notice are all open-ended, right? What do you want to accomplish in your business? Who would you love to, right? So these are all the I know I'm talking to a one-thirder when after Tommy answers the question, he says, how about yourself? As soon as I get a how about yourself counterpunch, I know it's probably on the path of one-thirderville. I just know, right? And this is, right, so you ask great questions and they're open-ended, you're going to probably have a good to great conversation at least a third of the time. And if I like them, I would love to learn more and potentially be in a place to help you. Those are my questions. That's it. So it came from a blog that I wrote, like the top 10 ways to connect with people, and it turned into this. It turned into ask the right question, get the right answer. Because if you don't ask the question, the answer is always freaking no. So get good at asking open-ended questions. It's the best way to learn help. Learning, helping, learning, helping. Sound familiar? Right? It's all connected. It's all connected. I'm not suggesting that these questions are the end all and be all, but they are for me. They are for me. Do I ask other questions in addition to this or instead of some of them? Of course. It's not a job interview, but it certainly gets things started and it helps me focus on learning, helping. So think about questions that you might ask if you don't like some of these that would serve you better, but that would be open and that you would love somebody to ask you. Like the best questions, I think, other than I'm looking to get this information, is what questions you would want others to ask of you, which would almost force feed, load up the punch on a we-based conversation. Give me a thumbs up if I'm on the right track. Am I still there?
Yes. Hey, Mike, I'll throw something out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think these are great questions, and I view this as, networking, as you said, you can't connect with everyone. You right. Probably don't want to connect with everyone, but there are those one-thirders and I think everybody's one-thirders are probably different, right? Because personality comes into this a lot, I would think, right? So I think from these questions, part of this is determining, right away that first impression, if you're going to be able to connect with the person long term. How much value should you place in that, right? Because you know, there's a lot of people that feel first impressions are everything. And a lot of people, you know, how far should you take it if you're not getting a good first impression of it? They're not asking you that question, how about you? How far do you take that to before, and how do you remove yourself from that situation or cut ties with that person if it's not the right person?
Right. So there's a lot of there, Ed. Let me address the first part of what you said. So thank you for that question. Great question. While we're on questions, right? So very appropriate. Is you mentioned that, you know, 1/3 is relative. And it is, like, so from the standpoint that a 1/3 to you may not be a 1/3 to me. You know, so like Tommy and I have this conversation all the time. Like, I really like this guy and this, and I might have a different feeling. Doesn't make me right or make him right. It's all relative. So to him, there's a 1/3 connection. That's great. For me, I might have a different 1/3 connection, right? So, and that's where it's kind of like, you know, ever have somebody like watch like a movie and they say it's the best movie in the world, and you watch the same movie and not so good, right? So a lot of that stuff is relative. So there's that. The other side of it is, your question is, how do you know that you're in the process of making a good connection so you know how to continue, right? So you know kind of where to go with this or not go with this. And so the answer is, it's really, this is the art as opposed to the science, is a lot of it's just kind of gut check based on our experience. You know, it's, you know, like, have you ever met somebody that like proved you wrong? Like, remember when we met and we hated each other? That happens, but it doesn't happen a lot, does it? It really doesn't. Like, usually once, you know, the first impressions, like if you're in a networking setting or at a conference or at a cocktail party or in a Zoom meeting, you got to assume that people are on their best behavior. And if there's not a good feel then, that's a pretty good measure in my mind. Am I proved wrong? Yeah, but with this, not a lot. Not a lot. So Tommy, as an offside, like Ralph Winter, so he's a guy that's in our networking group. I know this guy for 20 years. CPA, he's one of my favorite guys today. But 20 years ago, this guy hated me. I never really hated him. I didn't take to him, but he'll tell you, he hated me. And I wrote about him in the book. He's one of the few guys that went, in my mind, from 2/3 to 1/3. He was a guy, I got to get to know this guy. And I was in a group with him. And I just felt, I'm not, you know, and I just kept thinking it was me. So I went out of my way to have a meeting with him, have coffee, the whole thing. And I ended up cultivating a relationship with him. And I realized, rough exterior, but awesome, awesome guy. So does that happen? It does happen, but not a lot. So I usually go with my gut to answer your question. And if somebody doesn't come across well, they're all about them, I just figure they're all about them, or they just don't know this stuff. Both good, right? But it just depends on how I choose to roll with it. Now, if this is a national sales manager for BlackRock, I might give this guy a second chance. If he's just some guy I'm meeting at a meeting, I don't know, right? So it's all kind of relative. Make sense? Okay, good. All right, definition of a target market. I'm kind of keeping an eye on the clock here. So target market, I'm very much into target marketing. It's being specific with who you want your clients and ultimately your prospects to be. I believe a target market is whom you serve best and therefore with whom you wish to serve most. My target market is insurance and financial services. That's just it. It never changes. That's my marketplace. I've been at it for 20 years, and people that know me and know my brand, he's the knockout networking guy. He's in financial services. I get that all the time, right? So that cultivates business opportunities. It also cultivates an impression and a brand that people perceive that I've created, you know, luckily. But you can do that in any type of role, whether you're a CPA, nonprofit, it doesn't matter, right? It's health insurance. You know, it's what's the impression that you want to create, and your target market can lend itself to that. So why have a target market? And I'm just going to gloss over this, is because it differentiates yourself. It makes you different than the other health insurance providers and brokers and everything else. It makes you a master in your domain. Like, I'm an authority about group health insurance specific to nonprofits. Like, that's a niche, that's a brand, right? So where do you go, what to say with whom? You're more effective at solving those types of problems. You're an expert in that area. So when a BlackRock comes to me, they are thinking I might have some expertise in this area on purpose. Also, you get to go to the right place, say the right thing, meet the right people. So it makes you that much more savvy about networking, right? So you're much more effective at leading with the right. What isn't a target market? And this is my opinion. I could spend an hour on this slide right here. In my opinion, a target market is not small businesses. Yeah, I serve small businesses. Well, that's fine, but what the heck does that mean? Right? It's not wrong. it's just very subjective, right? It's because what Ed might think is a small business, I might not think is a small business. But in my mind, I'm thinking what type of small business, what industry, profession, market segment, niche, dynamic, demographic, geography, right? So it's getting into the details. I hear this, and these are the answers I get in financial services all the time. Oh, I've got a target market. It's the affluent marketplace. Really? So your marketplace is rich people. That's it? How do you network to that? Right? So what industry, profession, market segment, niche, dynamic, demographic, geography lends itself to the type of marketplace that you want to work with? See, that you can work with. You can create a marketing plan around that and know where to go, what to say, and with whom. So these are some ways to discover your target market or create your target market. This is like depth right here. If you are interested, I'm going to put it out there, in brainstorming with me on how to discover and create your target market and be even more focused than you might already be, reach out to me. I'll talk to you about it. This is just a lot to go over. Bottom line is there a demographic that's attractive to you? Is there a dynamic? Is there a gap? Is there a problem? Does it represent a hobby or something that you're interested in? All of that. Or who are your favorite clients? Right? Do they represent a specific niche or a consistency, or a common denominator? That's interesting. This is one way that I help advisors, is once they figure that out, then they know, because we can develop a fight plan on where they need to go, what they need to say, with whom they need to say it. Okay, I'm going to move on from this. I'm going to get into kind of the virtual stuff. All right, I'm going to create space. Does anybody have questions? Questions about where I'm going right now, where I've been, networking, connecting, referrals? I'm going to give it an awkward 10 seconds. Otherwise, give me a thumbs up. All right. As my 13-year-old would say, like, awkward. All right, here we go. Not really. Knockout approaches a virtual night. So this is the virtual stuff, right? So this is all the stuff. This is the land that we live in right now. So I'm not going to go over all of this. It's a lot. But I do want to go over what I think is most important is email strategy and social media. And social media specific to LinkedIn, because that's really important. And that's going to really translate into our virtual meetings. So important. All right, social media. Here we go. It amazes me, and I say this with respect, how many people don't know what I'm about to share right now. And LinkedIn has been a thing for a long time. I don't consider myself a LinkedIn expert, but there's some people that think that I am. It's not what I focus on it in my own marketing, right? But it's not what I'm really looking to teach people. So what I've done is I've taken all the applications that I've learned over the years, all the things that I practice, and that has garnered a positive outcome. And this is what I've come up with. Here we go. LinkedIn is a social media of choice for business. If you're serious about growing your business, you should be on LinkedIn. I'm not saying you need to be on LinkedIn 8 to 10 hours a day. I'm not. I'm 15 minutes a day, if that, like timed on my phone, 15 minutes, and I'm on to something else. But it's a very focused 15 minutes, and I know exactly what I'm going to do and why. And here's what that looks like. Here's my 1, 2, 3 punch of LinkedIn. Is I focus on my posting, I focus on my ability to connect, and I focus on my engaging and my establishing rapport and building relationships. So that's the 1, 2, 3 punch. Is do I post every day? I do. I post every Monday through Friday, or just about. Or it might be in a Monday, Wednesday, Friday split. But I post something that maybe in terms of health insurance, it's compliant friendly. I know with life insurance and the finance, right, and the wirehouses I deal with, it's got to be compliant, it's got to be approved, right? So when I post something that's relevant, it's relevant to boxing and relevant to a message, because remember, it's all about my brand. I don't post anything that I think is mindless. I post something that I think is cool, represents my brand, and represents an idea that I think others might think is cool, like something they can apply. Connecting is reaching out to people that you don't know or don't know well and sending a DM, inviting them to connect, and that you do want to know them better, not to sell them stuff, but to collaborate and explore how you can help one another. Way different. Show of hands, how many of you have connected with somebody, they've reached out to you, and all of a sudden you get this copy and paste sales pitch? Show of hands, that ever happen to you? How does that make you feel? Not good. Do you want to make people feel not good, or do you want to make them feel good about you and look to get better connected? And then engaging. Engaging is to follow the people that are relevant and important to you and like and comment as compliance might allow you to, but not just to do it, but to be relevant, to be engaging. So if somebody posts about something having to do with health insurance, when I respond to that, I'm going to make a comment that I think is important as it relates to the post and as it relates to that person. And I'm going to tag that person that wrote it too, so they feel the love. That's engaging. Minimize look at me posts. Look at me, look how awesome I am. Nobody cares. Use, that's not Long Island, that's LinkedIn every business day, or at least every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Focus on your target market. Mine is almost always geared towards insurance and financial services. Why? Because that's my target market. Follow those that are in your target market that are active on LinkedIn. If they're active and you're posting, they're going to be reactive to what you do. Right? Think about that. If people are not active on LinkedIn, they're never going to see it, or they're not going to care. They're not going to find it relevant. So follow the people that are important to you that are relevant on LinkedIn, because now you will become relevant to them, right? Because social media is important to them. So if you show that it's important to you, more likely to make a connection. Have a goal and a plan, and if you haven't, connect with me. How you doing? Here it is. So here's my 1, 2, 3 best practices. 1, 2, 3 punch a LinkedIn. Posting, post one message or image a day or every other day. Connecting, send a minimum of 2. When I coach people, I kind of force them to do this. Like, they have to do this. Like, the minimum way to qualify in working with me, and these are paid clients, is they have to do the 1, 2, 3 punch every day. So it's not about learning stuff, it's about doing stuff. So the next time we meet, they tell me about all the things that are happening as a result of this. Send 2 DMs a day. Engage, relate to at least 3 posts. What does some of this stuff look like? Here's right out here. Here's a sample DM. I would send something like this on LinkedIn. But look how it has it's very simple. Look how it has all the components that I just suggested. Hello, Sam, it's personal. I see we both have a focus in the manufacturing industry. Oh, it's relevant and targeted to my market. Let's connect as it might be mutually beneficial. And perhaps we can be resource for one another. A we thing, collaborative. Who wouldn't respond to this? I mean, think about it, right? I'm going to tell you it's more than a third, because I measure this stuff, right? So LinkedIn and social media is a filtering device. LinkedIn is a filter. So the people that connect and respond, we can now have we-based conversations. And you know, I have had people come to the networking group, TNG. I've had them come to other events that I'm hosting. I've been able to give referrals and give business to people like this, but I've gotten to know them and cultivate a relationship. You know what it cost me? Nothing. It cost me 15 minutes a day. That's LinkedIn. All right, email. Have an engaging subject line. Come from a place of we. Send it personally. Make the message personal, not too personal. Keep it short, sweet, to the point. Do not send 1,000 out there. This should not be a HubSpot mass mailing. This should be personal. It depends on what you're promoting, but if you're looking to cultivate a personal relationship, your notes have to come from a personal place. And then initiate a call to action. What does that look like? I don't do this, but if I was going to do this, this is what it would look like. I don't do this because all my connections are referrals, every single one of them. But if I was going to do this, this is what it would look like. Hello, Sam. You know Sam now. I hope you and your family are healthy and safety. Is that not relevant right now? I'm sorry it's been so long. So this is somebody I already know, I've been connected with, right, that I haven't, right, we've spoken with. It's been a long time since I've been to Boston. So personal. Would be great to schedule a meeting to catch up and explore ways we might help one another. See how it's we focused? Call to action. Please let me know, to connect. Looking forward to coordinating. This email is money. Would you agree? Think about ways of connecting with people that you know or know of, and you can cultivate a message like this. It's really simple, and people respond. There's a version, I don't have it here, but there's a version of this that you can do cold, right? You just kind of drop the Boston thing, right? But other than that, it's the same approach. It's reaching out to somebody personally. There's a we benefit, it's mutually beneficial, and there's a call to action. And a call to action will prompt an action. Virtual meetings, right? So we happen to be in a virtual meeting. What a coincidence. Make sure you have a good wireless connection. So funny, I was leading a meeting with Tommy D earlier with lots of people on it, and my power went out. I had a great wireless connection, but I had no electricity. Literally, I was standing here and it was dark for like 2 minutes, like, Luckily, it came back and we're right. So outside of that, what we can't control, try to have the best wireless connection possible. It isn't always the case for me, but lately it has been. Be mindful about your space and your background. This is a real heavy bag. This is on purpose. This is my brand. This is what I want to portray. Just make sure your space and your background is professional. Like it portrays who you are, who you want to be. Minimize distractions. Keep the conversation on target. Try not to do a bazillion things. Be respectful of time. Make it collaborative. And you can utilize LinkedIn on Zoom. You can actually do a screen share on Zoom like I'm doing now, and you can now compare connections on Zoom. So my friend Anthony does that. Anthony loves doing this. Anthony Carlosa, who Tommy and I both know, he'll set up a Zoom meeting with somebody, how do we refer each other? And what they'll do is they'll look at one another's LinkedIn connections and they prepare for this. Then they talk about how well they know one another and they cultivate those introductions right there in real time. How's that for cool? Right? You know what it costs? Nothing. So virtual meetings, what's the purpose of the meeting? Make that clear. Networking, how we help one another, and you can do this with your probable or true prospects. Your probable prospects are the people that you want to be your prospects, but they don't know it. Your true prospects are truly looking to do business with you. It just hasn't happened yet. Current clients, former clients, your centers of influence, set up a Zoom meeting. You can, here's my favorite thing to do. My favorite best practice online, here it is when there are people that I'm looking to cultivate a relationship with and they're relevant to each other, I initiate a small networking meeting for them. And it's not about me, it's about them. Right? I know Tommy D does this all the time. So if there's 3 or 4 people that really need to get to know one another and they're important to me, I'll say, you know what, Friday at 3 o'clock, is everybody available? I got these 3 people, you two or 3 should know each other. Let's set up a time to make that happen. And I will facilitate that meeting. They're always appreciative. It's a hoot. Does it cost anything? No. And I'm starting to cultivate more and better connections. How cool is that? Easy, right? The stuff that's easy to do is also easy not to do. Would you agree? And I'm just looking at the time. So virtual networking meeting, this is a format when I do have a one-on-one meeting with somebody. So I'm meeting with Al. Al, good guy, man. He's right. So 1/3 of connection of the whole thing. So we set up a meeting. This is often the format that I use when we're having this meeting. And by the way, does anybody know who those 2 fighters are? We're talking back in like the 50s. Who are those 2 fighters? Anybody know?
Rocky Marciano and Ezra Charles.
No, but great guess. This is just before the Ezra Charles fight. That's actually Jersey Joe Walcott.
Okay.
That's awesome. Do me a favor, Al. Afterwards, send me your mailing address. I'm going to pop a book in the mail for you.
Okay.
All right?
Are you paying for the postage?
Fair enough. I will pay for the postage.
It's a deal.
Done. All right. We'll connect. All right. So that's a famous fight because that basically won the championship for Rocky Marciano and pretty much ended Jersey Joe Walcott's career. Right.
Yeah.
A punch is I set up the purpose of the meeting. Right. So very we focus. Let's explore how we help one another. I get an understanding of one another. I talk about peace, which is my format of the elevator speech. I didn't get to it today, but we kind of talk about one another's business. I like to discuss networks. Who do you network with? What organizations are you part of? There's always got to be an ask. Who am I looking to meet or be introduced to? And I want that to go both ways. And then we discuss how to move forward. What should our next steps be? What might be the best way to stay in touch? How do I follow up? Think about adding or loading a punch to your virtual meetings. All right, final piece. I'm going to open it up and we'll be taillights in the memory. Here is my 13-year-old daughter, Julia. These are her goals from last year. She actually wrote these. She didn't mean for me to see them, but I did. And of course, I took a Polaroid of them. Right? Most of the stuff she's up to, which is great. But don't give up on anything. How cool is that? Like she was 12 when she wrote that. How cool is that? And I got to tell you, she doesn't. Right? So it's all about, oh, be you. Not me, but be yourself is what she means. How cool is that? Right? Goals. At the end of the day, I mean, have I shared a lot of information here? Would you agree? Like a load of information you can do, like you can practice this stuff today. Doesn't make a lick of difference unless you put it into a plan around the goals. When I coach people or I help people, I mean, even with job searchers, this is how I do it. And they walk away with a document. Is I help them create a measurable 90-day goal. Right? 90 days. To me, life's a series of 3-minute rounds and getting to a 90-day championship fight. I force them to block 1 hour, same time every day, as a non-negotiable activity, as an NNA, to work towards the daily steps to get that goal done. And then I mandate, you saw this earlier, I always put a 1, 2, 3 punch in there. So they have to do this in red. They have to generate 1 referral or intro for somebody else. They have to contact 2 former or current clients with We Focus. And they have to do the 1, 2, 3 punch of LinkedIn. That's at a minimum. On a good day, they could add 4 and 5. But you see how all this stuff is actionable? You think we have great stuff to talk about in our meetings, like they're actually producing? Like only every time. That's the daily fight plan. So I'm leaving this for you because I want you to create your own daily fight plan and put your own 90-day goal in there. Block out the calendar on your own and think of what 1, 2, 3 punch that you're going to instill every single day. Like take an hour, take 30 minutes, schedule it. Nothing gets in the way of it. Nothing gets in the way of my revenue producing activities. Nothing. Not negotiable. But I want you to envision what your world would look like 90 days from now if you were clear on a 90-day goal and then you implemented your 1, 2, 3 punch as appropriate. What do you think would happen? Mario, what do you think would happen?
I'll probably meet the contacts and develop the relationships I want to make.
Yeah, without a doubt. Have I made this a good use of time for everybody?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Lots of good information. Very good.
Good. Comments, questions? Otherwise, I'm going to hand it right back to Ed.
Anything,
All
guys?
right. Let me just, final word, I'll turn it right back to you is, listen, if I can be I'm not giving you a sales pitch. If I can be a resource to you in any way possible, can you tell I love talking about this stuff? Just let me know and I'd be happy to help you focus on a daily fight plan and do this. I am not selling you. I will just do it. But it's
I have a
all
question.
up to me.
I have a question.
Ow.
That's me. So, in your opinion, can someone be successful and not have stated goals? Are goals mandatory to be successful?
I don't think they're mandatory to be successful, but it all depends on what you consider success to be, which is all relative. And it's also getting back to a question. Like, are you doing the type of work that you want to do? Are you spending the time that you want to be spending the time, like how you want to be spending it? And are you spending it with the people that you want to be spending it? Because I think the more intentional you are about what you want, it lends itself the more important the goal might be.
Thank you. Your whole presentation was chock full of little tidbits that some I'm already doing, some I'm going to do, and I appreciate your time.
Good. I appreciate your comments. Thanks for the kind words, Al. Ed, back to you.
All right, thank you, Michael. Does anybody have any last questions for Mike? No. Okay, great. Well, again, I really want to thank Michael for taking the time out of his day to spend almost an hour with us. As always, packed full of great information, energetic, exciting. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. We will send out an email after this event with a recording of the event, and we'll connect Michael on that email so that all of you will have his direct information and know how to get in touch with him right away. Michael, I don't know if it's possible that you could share that deck with us, but if you can, then we'll send that out as well. And then, like I said, our next event is coming up on September 16th, where we will have Vince Ashton, CEO from Health Pass, with us discussing the future of the health insurance industry. I look forward to seeing all of you again then. If you have any questions for us and/or Michael, feel free to reach out to us. Other than that, everybody have a great day, and looking forward to seeing you all soon, and stay healthy. Michael, thank you one more time. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate it, Ed. Have a great rest of the week, everybody.
Great day.